Again, my background is my background is from, my parents are from Puerto Rico. So we are Puerto Rican, we are Latino, we are Hispanic. So whichever is preference to anybody out there, we have no real difficulty with accepting either or. But we are from Puerto Rico and we are United States citizens. And I think that's really where I try to have people understand that we are United States citizens that happen to be from Puerto Rico.
Good. So let's talk a little bit about culture, okay? Because the Hispanic culture is really rich, right? So what does culture mean to you?
Well, again, not only rich, is very diverse. And I think it's very important to say. So when we look at areas of like Massachusetts or cities like Springfield, Massachusetts, where a large segment of the Latino community happens to be Puerto Rican, you have a different flavor of what culture may be, opposed to Lawrence, Massachusetts, which has a little bit more of a larger segment of the Dominican community. And when you look at the makeup of Massachusetts, you have half of that population of the approximately 600,000 Latino residents being Puerto Rican, the other half being of South American and a lot of the other countries that make up the South American areas. So culture basically means is understanding where you come from, understanding some of the nuances that culture brings, and also having the value systems that your parents or your forefathers and parents have instilled in you. And that is education, respect, responsibility, and honesty.
Right. Now, what would you say are some traditions that were passed down through your family?
Well, bendición basically is a word that's used when you either are leaving or going into somebody's home or finding somebody in the street that happens to be part of your extended family, particularly your parents, your grandparents, the neighbors that are older than you, or aunt, uncles, etc. Because in the Latino culture, you don't only have one parent. You have a multiple amount of parents, and the elders are extremely respected and is expected to say bendición, which means bless me. And that is something that is a tradition that to this day, I try to keep with all my extended family members, including my father, my older sisters and brothers that are still with us.
Right. So it's kind of like it takes a village to raise a child.
Absolutely.
Okay, good. Can you think of any lasting contributions or achievements or influences by Hispanics or Latinos in the culture of U.S. history?
I think we do have, and sometimes we tend to ask, the same question in schools. I always refer back to my heroes are people that helped raise me. My mom had a three grade level education, came to the United States looking for a better life, and was able to raise five of my, with four of my siblings and myself was five, was able to adopt another child afterwards. And at the age of 60, after raising us in government assistance and putting us in college or through college, was able to go and get her GED at the age of 60 years old. Wow. So that in itself is the heroes that I look at. Or my father, who had very limited English and came to New York City and worked in the factories, and then what became the foreman of that, moved back to Puerto Rico, as many of the elders have in the past come to the United States to then in the future go back to Puerto Rico, and was able to build his micro business and was able to sustain my other siblings and others from Puerto Rico, and to this day is still trying to work, although he's a lot older, but still has his home business of a small real estate company. And those are the heroes that I look at. And obviously we know of all the national heroes. Pedro Albizu Campos is a Harvard graduate, the first African-American, Latino, Puerto Rican to graduate from Harvard, fought for the Independence Party, and was jailed half of his life, but still was able to sustain his beliefs in the systems that would best suit our Puerto Rican people in Puerto Rico. And so those are some of the heroes, and we have so many others that we can go on and talk to. And obviously in the sports arena, we have a great influence of Latino sports, people in sports, people in the music industry, people in news and in entertainment, and doctors. So it is a rich history.
Speaking of music, you were once a program director. How important is music in your culture?
Very. It goes hand in hand with religion.
Oh, really? Okay.
If you ever go into a Spanish church, you'll see that music is part of that spiritual uplifting. But music, it goes hand in hand. There's no activity, event, wedding, or funeral that doesn't have some type of musical component to it. More so historically than today. I think assimilation, more people are assimilating to the United States culture, but and that comes from all South America. Even the Day of the Dead is celebrated with music in some countries. So music is very influential in my life, and all my children, although they don't speak the Spanish language as good as I do, and I don't speak it perfect, but they fully understand the lyrics. They all dance salsa, merengue, bachata, and guaguancó. So music is very influential in our culture.
Yeah, I've been to a few Spanish parties and pretty fun.
Gotta dance.
Yep, absolutely. I don't know how good I am at it, but I try. Let's switch gears a little bit. So what would you say, from your perspective, is the most commonly held misconception about people in your culture?
That the value systems are a lot different. They're not. And when you look at, I recently went to an event that we're talking about the Jewish communities, and when you look at the backgrounds of many of those that came before us, they came to work hard, they came to get educated, they came to uplift their families. Those value systems are no different in the Latino communities. But I know when new people come to certain areas, there's skepticism. Most of them come in trying to get better on their finances and whatnot. So they tend to live in somewhat of poverty situation. And I think what divides us is that people don't take the time to understand that we have a lot more in common than differences. And I think that's what makes America great, that as long as we keep that in our mindset, that we have a lot of things that unite us, then divide us, I think we'll be a better Massachusetts, but also a better United States of America.
I agree. And a lot of it is perception. So I think once we kind of get that out of the way and kind of are able to see different people's perspectives, then things will begin to change. So through your political journey, what's been your experience? Stereotypes, racism, if any, have you witnessed it? Have you experienced it personally?
Well, absolutely. I think that we all have some experience in one way or another. You walk into a lot of rooms where you're the only so-called person of color in a room, and the expectation is that you may not fully understand or may not have a full understanding of situations that drive policy or drive legislation. But I think the struggles of life, the inability to be treated in the same way gives you a better understanding of how to deal with people to some degree. And I think I've used that to my advantage. I never walk into a room trying to be the smartest person in the room, but I try to learn, listen, and I think that like I mentioned, I look at what can unite somebody to our causes or my causes better than looking at why he or she may be having a different opinion of certain situations. I think the ultimate goal of both sides is to get to the same decision. So it exists, but I think we overcome that by trying to better understand the upbringings of others, the difference of opinions of others. And although we don't have to fully accept them, we have to better understand them and try to work together.
Yeah. Okay. Can you tell us what allyship looks like to you?
What?
Allyship. So
Explain.
becoming allies, what does that look like?
Oh,
What does that look
ally.
like to you? Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'll just say politics is the art of negotiation and consensus and bringing people coming together. So having allies, if that's the word you're using in government and not only in government, in the community, in community organizations and in different aspects of business community. No person is an island on their own, and no issue is only important to one person. So we have to bring as many people together as possible.
Absolutely. What would you like people to know? So in terms of the Hispanic Latino culture, what would you like people to know, most importantly?
I think what's important is, again, no different, is that the Latino culture is very similar to all the other cultures that exist in this world. We all have, nobody grows up not wanting to be somebody. Nobody ends up in situations that are created because of a culture. They're created because of situations, the environments. So we have to understand that sometimes a zip code may be a difference of somebody's potential outcome. But as human beings, as children of God, of people that, regardless of what religion or belief, we all have the same opportunities in life, but we all have to be able to express our willingness to accept, assist, and embrace other people. So our culture is a culture that's rich, very proud people. If you ever gone to a parade of Latino culture, or whether it's any community of the Latino culture, you'll see that they take pride in their flags, they take pride in their music, they take pride in their language, they take pride in their food, and they take pride in their family and their communities. So I think that's what I would say that our culture brings to the table.
Okay, good. At this moment, I'm going to ask, because I know that you have to leave, but I did want to have our staff members to see if they had any questions. I know I have one more question if nobody has any questions. Janelle, do you see anything in the chat?
Nothing in the chat yet. If anybody has a question, they can just type it into the chat, and we're going to close briefly after that.
Okay. I do want to talk about education a little bit. So, I know that you said your mom had a third grade education. What does that look like now? I used to teach an English language learners class. Okay. And we took kids from Puerto Rico. I had some kids from Africa, and they spoke no English. By the end of the year, it was amazing how much English they were able to speak. But I do know that some of the Hispanic and Latino communities still struggle with education. So what's your stance on that now? Where do you see it going in the future, and any thoughts that you have?
Well, again, like I believe Martin Luther King said, that education is the guiding light that will carve that tunnel of hope in that mountain of despair. Education is a powerful tool, and we have to provide the resources to provide those tools to our communities. I think that some of our inner city schools where poverty is more existence sometimes receive the short end of the stick. In Massachusetts, I'm happy to say that we've been championing the Student Opportunity Act. And for the first time this year, schools that have higher population of individuals in poverty and issues with coming from different languages and bilingual will receive an extra amount of dollars to assist in making sure that everybody receives that education. I think one of the other things that I was not too long ago in Aruba, they teach you 3 languages, if not 4, in school. Springfield, we have been able to increase our graduation rate, reduce our dropout rate, and next year in preschool, kids will start getting dual language. And I think that's very important because of the population of Springfield reflecting the demographic changes that the United States is seeing, is that there's a increase in people of Latino heritage and cultures. And how goes the Latino community in many cities and towns? How goes those cities and towns? Because we're going to be 1.5 million of the Massachusetts population in the near future. And if we keep those people uneducated and in poverty, we know the ills that brings, that increases population. So if we invest in our schools early and we invest in our children early, we'll have a better outcome for all of us to achieve.
Agreed. I think our CEO, George Fleschner, has a question for you.
Sure.
So I'm going to let him talk.
Representative Gonzalez, George Fleschner, it's nice to see you here. I just want to say that this was 20 minutes of the most powerful and interesting 20 minutes that I've spent in a really long time. You serve your district really well, the people in your district and beyond. Very fortunate to have your voice in this state in politics. You seem to be a very value-based and smart guy who we like to see, I know, in politics. You have a heart that seems to be on the right side of things. We serve a lot of people in Springfield. I actually grew up in Springfield. So again, thank you for taking some part of your time here. It was really, it was great. Very, very welcome. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you for the invitation. I greatly appreciate it. I will say I never had A's during school, so I don't know how smart I may be, but I do stay close to my community and try to listen to all groups, no matter what race, creed, or color. And I think that united we stand, and divided we fall. So I think that's a model that I take to government and in my everyday life.
Well, thank you. We really appreciate you. I know that you have to go into your meeting. Best of luck.
The governor, I'll just say, the governor just announced yesterday that he's coming into town. So that's where I'm going. There's no meeting. Governor calls, we go. But he's bringing resources to our local city. So we're happy.
Absolutely. And I really appreciate you taking time out. I know everything's been busy, your work that you're doing with Puerto Rico and everything else. So it is greatly appreciated. Dave, thank you for getting back to me. And Nonotuck would just like to say thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. And I think it's so, it speaks volumes of your leadership and your company taking time to celebrate the Hispanic Heritage Month. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.